What's going on, guys? Why am I making a video showing you an older plasma? Well, people have been asking me about how to choose the size of their next display. And for years, it was always about how close or how far you sit from your current TV. In 1080p, there was all kinds of footage. You should be close, you should be far. 4K kind of erases that. You can be pretty close to your displays. And there's all kinds of metrics online that you can look up to see where you're going to be and how far or how close you should be. This is a 1080p plasma. The reason why there are stickies on it, the stickies actually are there to show you what an OLED C7 65-inch TV would look like in comparison to your older 65-inch TV. Now the bezel on the Panasonic is actually relatively thin, being that it's a plasma and it's about 3 years old. But if you're coming from a TV that's maybe 3 or 4 years old, it may be larger than this one. So the reason why I show you this is if you just run out and grab, say, another 65 and replace it, you may find yourself with a much smaller TV and you'll be wondering, why did I go with this size? So especially an OLED, which is so sleek, they have such a small bezel, they're beautiful. But you might find visually when you put it on your entertainment center or you put it on your wall, especially if you have things on the wall like pictures, you're going to be like, wow, I didn't realize all that space was there before. So the rule of thumb, for me anyway, is to go up a size. Because if you add up all the inches in regards to the bezel, especially on the bottom, you might find that an older, a newer 65 display is smaller than your older 65 display. But you might find that, you might be able to go with like a 70 and be nearly at the same size as your older 65. So I know it sounds like common sense, but it really isn't. We look at them at the store compared to other TVs, and obviously things like OLED are very expensive, so we don't want to go too large, but bigger isn't always better, obviously. And this video isn't about going bigger than what you have. It's just being mindful that when you get your TV home, if it's replacing one that's the same size from a few years ago, it's going to be significantly smaller. It will be all picture, it'll be gorgeous, but for some people it will mess with you. My Samsung from a couple years before that had a much larger lower bezel, and so the 55-inch Sony I replaced it with was actually the same size as that 52-inch. It's just food for thought, guys. Something to think about when you go out and you choose a new display, especially when you're choosing size. A lot of you are asking me between the 930E and the 900E, and the 930E maxes out at 65 inches. So for me, if I was replacing this TV, I'd replace it with the 900E that's larger, just because the 65-inch in theory would be a smaller display. And for 4K, I would like to go as large as possible. So these are just visual cues, give you guys a little bit of the ability to see what the C7 would look like if I put it on the wall. So guys, in the comments, let me know what size TVs you guys are looking at and what you're thinking. And what I would do is go on the website, find out what the TV specs are, find its measurements with stands. That's another thing too, is a lot of the TVs from a few years ago had larger stands. So if you're keeping it on a stand, be prepared for, especially with the C7, the LG line, they have very small stands. So the TV will sit lower and be smaller. So I look up the specs, look up how the height and width are with the stand included, without it. And just food for thought, guys, when you're choosing. Maybe just try this experience at home, get some stickies, see where that TV would be on your TV, and then go up from there. All right, guys, thanks as always. Thank you for the questions and the comments. Have a great day.